I am delighted that I can speak to the people of Australia, and they are the people to whom I am accountable. This beautiful country belongs to all Australians born here and those who have come to join us. This beautiful country belongs to all Australians born here and those who have come to join us. I would like to acknowledge the men and women that have sacrificed their lives for our democracy, our freedom, for our country, and also to those migrants, those people that have worked extremely hard, and those Australians born here with their blood, sweat and tears to build this nation into the beautiful country that it is today. The public are sick and tired of being ignored. Well, I'll tell you what the issues are. Firstly, immigration and housing. Housing demand in Australia substantially outstrips housing supply. Unsustainable demand has been driven by several factors, but the biggest is high immigration. In August 2000, the Australian Bureau of Statistics reported Australia's population as a whole is projected to grow from the current size of 19 million to between 24 and 28 million over the next 50 years. It's only 2026 and we have already passed 28 million. Net overseas migration in the first 3 years under this Albanese Labor government has totalled 1.27 million people. Let me repeat that, 1.27 million people under this current government. Undeniably, immigration or immigration policy has our country in the state of crisis. At the centre of this crisis is the utterly flawed policy of multiculturalism. We cannot be a multicultural society. We are a multiracial society, but we must be monocultural. Australians must live under the one cultural umbrella. Now to the facts. Some of our best universities have nearly 50% of their enrolments being overseas students. Is that what the electorate wants or supports? 32% of our population, 8.8 million people, have been born overseas. Is that what Australia supports? In the 2021 census, more than half of Australian residents, 51.5%, were born overseas or had one parent born overseas. Is that what's supported by the Australian electorate? Is that what Australia wants? The comparable figure for the United States is 14%. Let me amplify this issue of national identity and Australian values. Only a fool would ignore the growing language problem, which is a function of immigration. The 2021 census showed that 1 in 4 people, 23%, speak a language other than English at home, the most common being Mandarin and Arabic. How can you generate social cohesion if people can't speak the language? 872,000 people self-reported as speaking English not well or not at all. My party is rightly called One Nation. One nation, under one flag, and proudly Australian. Coming to this country and ignoring our values, our language, our traditions, our dress, and the fact that we are predominantly a Judeo-Christian society. It's time we woke up. Western civilisation and its values are under siege. The people to whom I speak are fed up with hate preachers in some Sydney mosques. If they hate this country, they should be told to leave. I am not frightened, and nor is One Nation. There is no room for hate preachers in this country. If they have arrived here, they will be deported. If they were born here, they will face the full force of the law. But Labor has allowed this immigration catastrophe to happen in the middle of a national housing crisis. But the not-so-smart thinkers in the Albanese government make changes to negative gearing. If you make a change to negative gearing, investment will move away from housing. That is common sense. But common sense is not common. And what will this do to the rental market? We haven't been able to house everyone already yet Labor has been bringing more than 1,375 people per day for the past 3 years. In January this year, there were more than 250,000 applicants waiting for social housing in a country that's supposed to be as rich as us. 43% of lower-income renters were experiencing rental stress. Up to 3.2 million people in Australia were at risk of losing their home. Disgraceful. And we know that around 130,000 Australians are sleeping rough every night. 2 years ago, I tried to secure a national plebiscite on immigration numbers. As usual, most of the Senate dismissed the notion of giving Australians a direct say on policy and voted it down. I'm always listening, and that's why my policy to slash immigration reflects what most Australians want. It's why my policy will restrict immigration from places immersed in extremism like radical Islam, because that's what most Australians want, especially after Bondi and the return of ISIS bride terrorists. The Salvation Army's latest Red Shield report, released in May this year, is not easy to read. It reveals the plight of increasing numbers of low-income Australians who now need help just to get by. Thousands of Australians are seeking this help every day. Organisations like the Salvos are so overwhelmed with demand, they're having to turn people away. Of the 4,400 people surveyed, 19% said they'd eaten food from a rubbish bin in the past 12 months. 91% said they had skipped meals, and 32% said they do so on a daily basis. 35% said they survived on only one meal a day. I think this is very important, what I've just said, and I want you, the people here, and the people watching this. 35% of parents said their children had gone to school hungry. How can we hold our heads up? How can we, as members of Parliament, who are supposed to represent the people of this nation, allow that to happen? It is disgraceful. And yet this Albanese Labor government cannot help our own people here, but keeps bringing in more into the country and floods this country time and time and time again. 59% said their children had missed school because they couldn't afford the transport costs. 84% said they went to bed early to keep warm. Again, where's Peanut Bowen? Where is he with his reliable energy? What is that doing for our age, for our pensioners, those people that can't afford to pay their electricity costs? 63% said they use candles and torches for lighting their homes. 49% said they go to public places like shopping centres to keep warm or cool. 51% can't afford a doctor, dentist or optometrist. 51%. And 46% can't afford prescription medicine. This is unacceptable, highly unacceptable to me and my colleagues and my party. As I will explain later, the government's energy policy, which One Nation will dismantle, feeds problems such as these. Everything is unbearably dearer. About 36% of people seeking relief are doing so for the first time. Almost a third of households needing relief had at least one employed person. What kind of Australia have we become? These figures are appalling and totally un-Australian for a rich country such as ours. These figures derive because of one policy above all others: the hoax of global warming, which is now climate change, which has taken Australia into energy poverty. The Albanese government itself is proof of what I am saying. Remember, when first campaigning to be elected, the Albanese government said it would reduce power bills by $275. Surely the slogan, "Fire the liar," has relevance to millions of Australians. Was it a lie to campaign in 2022 on the slogan, "A better future"? Is this how Australians feel today? The cost of energy feeds into everything we use. We eat, we manufacture, everything. So food is dearer, housing is dearer, rents are dearer. There is your cost of living crisis. Albanese lied to become elected, and Australians are paying for it. The public are sick to the back teeth with these lies. In the 2025 election campaign, did he fall off the stage and deny it? Let me be blunt. If you lie once, why won't you lie again and again and again. Because individuals and businesses are suffering from this net zero nonsense, the government shovels out millions of dollars of taxpayers' money just to justify their failing energy policy. One Nation will end this renewable energy bribery, grants, tax incentives, concessional finance, even the government underwriting anything that sponsors the whole net zero hoax. Rewiring the nation to build useless transmission lines and destroy prime agricultural land, billions of taxpayers' dollars. This will end. One Nation will always protect prime agricultural land. It belongs to farmers, not government transmission lines. Renewable energy projects benefit from cheaper finance than the market would offer. Are those benefits available to the bloke in the corner store? The small businessman in the suburbs? The businesses that keep regional towns in Australia alive? Do they get financed at favourable rates? But this outfit, the Clean Energy Finance Corporation, has received over $200 billion of taxpayers' monies. That is $200,000 million of taxpayer money. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not opposed to renewable energy. But if it's the saviour of the energy crisis and if it's profitable, why would government have to prop it up? One Nation is saying put everything into the energy mix. Let everyone share the wealth that is under our feet. We are one of the richest resource nations in the world. I am saying get ideology out of the way. And what about Malcolm Turnbull's $2 billion Snowy 2.0 project? He calls himself a businessman, but showed no regard for taxpayers' money. The $2 billion is now forecast to reach over $40 billion. Cancel it. Cut our losses. Governments have no money of their own other than what they take from taxpayers. The Snowy Hydro 2.0 is nothing more than a black hole of debt for taxpayers. We need a secure, reliable energy future. Every leap forward in human progress has come from mastering energy, from fire to steam, from coal to oil. Each step has powered stronger economies, lifted people out of poverty and secured our future. Energy isn't a luxury. It is the backbone of prosperity. Get it wrong and everything else suffers. Get it right and the nation thrives. One Nation will introduce nuclear energy. Our energy crisis is a product of failed energy policy, and this policy was supported years ago by major political parties and the big media giants. I have always opposed it. Ford and Holden closed their factories more than a decade ago for one simple reason: the cost of production. The source of much of our wealth is under our feet and should not be only for export. We will never be able to do without coal and gas. We should encourage the investment in them and provide power to homes and businesses, as we once did, as the world's cheapest price. Bowen said last March that households stood to claim savings of up to 10.1%, yet average electricity debt for customers on hardship programs has jumped 22.8% over the past year. These are Australian Energy Regulator figures. Gas hardship debt is up 22.2%. This applies to households, small businesses, industry and manufacturing. Stop blaming the Middle East. Electricity prices increased across all regions before the war in the Middle East, and there is evidence that disconnections over the coming quarters will increase if conditions don't improve. We have just had a budget brought down, and I will not hesitate from continuing to say, especially to young Australians, that the government is not telling the truth. The Prime Minister and the Treasurer are desperate, and they keep saying that anyone who opposes the budget measures is opposing the opportunity for young people to get into housing. More than 40,000 18 to 20-year-olds will lose out to Chalmers capital gains tax. In the last 10 years, the numbers of young people making income out of assets in an entrepreneurial way, buying an apartment, doing it up, selling it, there has been a 365% increase in the number of 18 to 24-year-olds who have done this. a 351% increase in 25 to 29 roles, a 246% increase among 30 to 34-year-olds. So the largest capital gains cohort is younger. There are now over 215,000 under 35-year-olds who will see less income from their investments. Punishing ambitious and aspirational young people who are trying to build a future, to build wealth, to build independence and to invest in Australia, Albanese and Chalmers are heading in the wrong direction. Chalmers argues when it comes to people under 35 with shares, quote, about 1 in 10 under 35 have shares. Unquote. What a pathetic defence is that. 1 in 10 is a lot of people. Before COVID, in 2021-22, nearly 75,000 Australians 18 to 24 years of age recorded capital gains. Now the Albanese government is coming after these young Australians. They call it tax reform. How on earth can ripping another $77 billion out of the pockets of Australians be called tax reform? On April 21, 2006, Peter Costello declared the nation debt-free. In the 20 years since Peter Costello made that declaration, in that time the debt has climbed from zero to almost $1 trillion. I have always argued against escalating debt. The difference between Albanese, Chalmers and me is that I actually ran a small business. They have earned their income by working for government, taking their salary from the taxpayer. Our task is simple. Debt doesn't seem to matter to this government or its predecessors. On the latest figures, we're heading towards $1 trillion. This government keeps spending. Spending leads to inflation, and inflation leads to interest rates going up. But under this government, interest rates are heading towards 10%. Young people can't afford the deposit, let alone the mortgage repayments. Young people are the latest victims of the government's lies. Let me just say what concerned voters know. Every attempt has been made for years to silence me. In fact, there are always some people who get offended by what I say or do, even offended by my very existence. I don't fear them, I embrace them. But many people aren't like me. In Australia today, in our democracy, the real tragedy is people are frightened of what will happen to them if they just speak up. What a national tragedy, indeed a disgrace, that many people feel afraid to make their views heard. As a result, civil debate is paralysed, and the media are complicit in amplifying this fear. They feel demonised and condescended, and they're mad as hell about it. This won't happen if One Nation is given a say in government. If I sound defiant, yes, I am. Am I committed? You bet I am. Thankfully, Australians have woken up. Australians aren't buying this crap from the political establishment and its media supporters anymore. The transgender ideology has penetrated almost every regulatory authority, and it is supported by the Sex Discrimination Commissioner, Dr. Anna Cody, who, in government, I would sack. So too, the head of the Human Rights Commission, Hugh de Cresta, or where major political parties have some difficulty in defining what is a woman and what is a man. Just because you lop off your penis and then wear a dress doesn't make you a woman. Yet we have almost every instrument of government dedicated to a transgender ideology which seeks to redefine humanity. I am not opposed to transgender people. I am simply saying that a transgender woman should not be allowed into women's sport or into a woman's changing room, and likewise a transgender man. Yet we have the Human Rights Commission, the Sex Discrimination Commissioner, regulatory authorities, the Office of Women, and large sections of the Labor Party, the Liberal Party and the Greens unprepared to articulate the biological truth. And this stuff is going on in schools. This transgender ideology is infecting all of society. There seems to be no boundaries, as it has become part of the propaganda being imposed on kids in classrooms. Only One Nation will provide the strenuous opposition that is needed. This whole subversive transgender insurgency must be dismantled. AI bids to transform the global economy. It will affect everyone's lives, including their daily lives, their relationships, indeed their environment. It has the potential to dramatically affect the lives of human beings, the consequences of which may be still unknown. AI should not be left entirely to self-regulation. Public trust is essential for widespread adoption. The Albanese government's response to the coming of AI is largely to leave it in the hands of corporations with little regulation to ensure that the industry operates in the public interest. One Nation seeks a middle path encouraging AI adoption and its economic benefits while imposing enforceable safeguards where AI can importantly affect people's rights, their safety, their employment, their privacy, even their democratic participation. If AI is to be successfully deployed, public trust is a prerequisite. One Nation will put in place mechanisms, if not to entirely protect jobs, and we won't take the Albanese government's route of lying to you, but we will have to get everyone through this. It's your job to scrutinise my party, its people and its politics. Unlike the Prime Minister, I welcome it. I'm an elected representative and I should be scrutinised. That doesn't give you the licence to pile on. It doesn't give you the licence to say preferencing One Nation is immoral. It doesn't give you the licence to continue to repeat the lie that we are a racist party, because that is untrue. The Australian people can make up their own mind, and they are. Rest assured, there will be big changes if One Nation is given the chance. The SBS will be gone. There's no need for it anymore. The internet has overtaken the need for it. The ABC will still exist, but in a very different form. Taxpayers will still fund some of the ABC's operations in regional, rural and remote areas where there is a lack of commercial media. But in the cities which are already saturated with media outlets across the political spectrum, the ABC will only be subscription service only. Remember this, I don't answer to the media. I answer to the Australian people. To you, the media, may I offer some advice. You have to earn the trust of the Australian people. Many see you as part of the problem. In some respects, that's right. I love this country. I'm a patriot and an unashamed nationalist. I will always put Australia and Australians first. One Nation will do its best to change this country's direction, to reassert its values, to honour its traditions, to reinforce that we are one nation under one flag. And my party will put Australia back on the path to prosperity, security, independence and freedom. One Nation will do everything to help take this country back for its people. Thank you for the invitation to be with you today.